This alchemy, this harmony, yeah, is the key to the kingdom and queendom of heaven, earth.
Aloha, beautiful souls. It's presently the middle of the night. I am walking in a light, misty, sparkling rain. It's a full moon night, although it's overcast, but I know it's there. And I feel inspired to do a solo podcast on the topic of getting out of the way for creative play, because I'm presently in the process of entering a new phase of my album. I am working on, or about to work on, production plans where I'm dreaming up the evolution of each song, which actually, if you're interested, you can listen to all the demos. If you go to coraflora.com, you can see my VIP membership, which is also through Bandcamp, where you can listen to all of the music I've been working on for the last few years. And the beautiful thing is, if you sign up, you'll receive all those demos now exclusively. I'm not going to release them anywhere else. And you'll also receive all the music I release in the next year. So that will include the complete album as well as remixes of Euphoria. And honestly, there's some other goodies that I'm excited about releasing this year as well that I'm committed to. And so, yeah, if you want to sign up, you can be a part of this journey with me. But yeah, back to now. I'm entering a new phase and I'm working on production plans, not only for the musical production of each song, but because now I've done music videos for my previous album, my creativity is naturally lending itself as well to visuals, because that's something that's always happened, especially with my album Illumination and with Euphoria too. But now this new album, Theodora, I can't help but just see things, and I love when those intuitive hits come in around visuals, because for me, I'm here to be an artist, and it's full spectrum. It's not just music, it's also, I realize I really love performing too, and not just like replaying a song live, which also has so much magic too. I love doing that, but I love now the visual medium of music videos, and I'm excited about expanding my shows in the coming time to also include awesome visuals and dance and just a whole experience that brings the full power of the medicine of each song to the world. So it's really exciting, because I admit that even just like with music, where a melody will drop in or a lyric will drop in, it feels like kind of intuitively guided and received. Likewise, these visuals are coming in, and I love it. And I find that they are correlated. Like when I'm producing the music, the visuals are inspiring me. And likewise, when I'm focusing on creating visuals, the music is inspiring me. So I just felt like kind of getting both of those wheels in motion at the same time. So yeah, so right now I'm in that mode. That's kind of what's on my heart and inspiration. And to be honest, every day, I mean, I'm always honest, but every day when I wake up, I pray, and it's God, Goddess, great, it's some variation of this, but God, Goddess, great love, please flow to through with us for me for the highest good of all. And sometimes I'll add, like, what would you have me do? What would you have me say? What would you have me create? And then I just let it go. And then usually inspiration just kind of resonates inside me. Like, it'll feel like desire. It'll feel like excitement. Sometimes it'll feel like challenge and intrigue. And sometimes I have to do a bit of alchemy to get the creative flow happening. And that's the space that I'm in right now. And really what I'm intending for this podcast is to jam on this topic, do a bit of my own alchemy, and perhaps inspire your creative process, because creativity isn't always like waking up like Cinderella on the Disney one, where she's like la 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 and there's birds shining, birds singing and everything's sparkling and shining and going up to the canvas, and now I have all the inspiration, la la la, sparkles and magic and beauty. Like, the honest truth I'll say from my experience is I'm also a healer. I'm also in a way a spiritual teacher, in the sense of, at least I'm on my own spiritual journey and I'm happy to share it. And if it inspires people and it resonates with, your authentic truth, cool. I'm not attached to that. But I do admit that's why I love podcasting and videos and writing, is because I also have this deep need to share wisdom or to share my truth, my journey, because I enjoy it. And I do feel that there are certain perspectives that can flow through me, through with us, for me, and for you, that are really helpful. Because yeah, I feel like some of the best music, some of the most powerful art comes from really deep places. Like for me, I love when I can tell that someone went through hell and back or whatever, their own version of that, or their own heroine's journey to like find this jewel, and it's so powerful because it came from that really deep place. They had to do their own alchemy to get there, and I can't deny that that's part of my process. Like even looking back on my discography, you'll see songs of singing about healing sexual trauma and like deep heartbreak and like a lot of depression and agony sometimes over how we treat the environment, the earth, ourselves, each other, and this longing for something greater, for divine love, for heaven on earth, for as above, so below sort of experiences. Because yeah, there's been many dark nights of the soul type times in my life when it's like my soul knew, like I was just like, something needs to change. I want something more. I know that something more is possible, and I'm here to create it. So yeah, and this new album, Theodora, is very, honestly, it's so interesting because like even sharing the demos, it feels like coming out of the closet again of a new version of me, or a deeper, truer, just next level version of me, different chapter, same person, same story. But yeah, the songs are very much about sacred sexuality and really deep, divine, devotional love. And it's really exciting, honestly. And the production is pretty badass. Like, honestly, like I did not hold anything back, and I channeled not only the light, but also the dark into it, in the sense of, you know, I feel like for some of my musical career, I was trying to be like, beautiful, everything is love, and I choose love, and it sounds so pretty and innocent and lovely. You know, I was in that vibe. And now I'm like, okay, yes, I have all that there. Like, I definitely have a heart that loves and cares, and I can definitely channel spirit and the light. But I can't deny that here I am, a human, literally walking through the middle of the night, and it's dark, and life can be dark. And as an empath healer type being, I can feel in people what's going on in the collective. And there is a lot of light, there's a lot of dark, and it's a great opportunity for us to alchemize and create. And for me, I think it's really important not to deny the dark, but to love through it and to create something beautiful. And so for me, the production, a lot of it, like I'm not scared to have a big grindy bass, or to have like really badass, even sometimes trap beats or whatever. Like I was sharing, okay, I'll be honest, there's 3 people in the world right now who have listened to the full album, or at least most of the full album. And I'm hoping there'll be many more, but at the same time, it's demo phase and it's not for everyone. It's for those who are my loyal allies and who are really interested and perhaps have a soul purpose connected to my music. Because I do feel like there's certain people that are starting to kind of pop into my experience or like resonate into it, that I'm like, ooh, like I'd really love to see like what sort of dance or movement performances or like, you know, show type expressions of this song that soul might do. Or so I've been inviting more collaborations, just slowly, gently, as intuitively guided, because I feel like this is so much bigger than me at this point. Like it's, and even with production, like I'm definitely excited about doing the creative direction and getting really into like just dreaming up, like, okay, how can I make the greatest music I can? And if I could do anything, what would I do? And I'm playing with that, and, you know, just like aiming for the moon and being a star. But I also recognize that there's only so much I can do. Like my production skills are pretty good for, I can definitely express myself and get the gist of the idea out there. But in terms of the production level that I want, the greatest, I am humbled to the fact that I would love to work with people who have different, better skills in different areas than I do, because I'm a great songwriter. I feel I'm a great creator of music, and yeah, I love creative direction. I love just tuning in and receiving inspiration and flowing it. But yeah, I definitely am excited to keep collecting my dream team just through authentic experiencing. But yeah, right now I'm in the phase of getting excited to work on these production plans. But yeah, I was actually just about to get to work, but then there was I don't know, friction at my home, just nothing that big of a deal, but just hearing someone snoring through the walls, not a roommate, but someone who lives in the same house, and just being distracted, because for me, entering a creative, intuitive space, it's really opening up energetically, spiritually, to feel something beyond this world. So of course, if I'm sensing something subtle in the field related to someone else, their thoughts, their emotions, their energies, whatever, sometimes it's helpful just to go and distract myself and go for a walk in nature and go clear and find that space of clarity, which sometimes does involve a bit of personal processing, because I'm always reflecting on my life and well, not always, but I'm often reflecting on everything and intending to find the answers and the solutions and crack the code to how this can all be better, or even just understand it, just so I can better navigate. Because yeah, on a personal level, I've been just reflecting on my energetic intuition, my empathy. Even this morning, I was at the library going to print some things, and the woman who was helping me, immediately in her field, even just standing near her, I felt this aura of mental peace, this beautiful energy of just soft comfort, a cloud of beautiful, soft, amazing, comforting energy in my upper chakras. And I just asked her, I was like, do you meditate? And she's like, yeah, actually I have a devoted morning practice. I was like, wow, it's working. It's working for you, because honestly, I feel so much mental peace just being around you, and it was nice to give her that positive reflection, because it honestly really helped me just in that moment, just to feel that, because I don't have a daily practice of meditation. I would perhaps like to cultivate that. But it was just nice to be around that. And likewise, I've been dealing with my empathy and learning from it. For a while, it's been something that scared me and gave me anxiety, because I have a really attuned sense to feel. I can definitely feel when people have unresolved sexual trauma, when they have deep emotional stuff coming up, because I've been there in my own way. I understand what it's like to have intense shame, or to have intense energetic blockages, or deep, intense emotional waves coming up and out. And yeah, and lately I've been just not getting so anxious, because I used to think that I had to heal it, or it was my responsibility, or I had to take it on or soak it in or whatever. But now I'm realizing sometimes it's just good to have the information. I'll just kind of look into the feeling a little quickly, and then be what is this? Why am I feeling this? And then usually I can just get a little intuitive hit of knowing of what that is, and then it just gives me information, and I don't always have to dive right into it and make it my whole thing, my project. But unless I'm really healing with someone in a one-on-one session, or going really deep with a friend or whatever, but it's just good intel to have, and it's helping me to realize that I don't have to get all anxious about it. I can just kind of get the information, and then share it if it's in the highest good. But most often lately, just having the understanding is helping, and it's helping me to be at peace, because sometimes that feeling, or that soul part, or that whatever it is that's coming up that I'm witnessing, we're coming into alignment, sometimes it just wants to be witnessed, and so I find that if I just give it acknowledgement, then my anxiety goes away, and then I can just keep going and move on. Yeah, there's a lot of water dripping on my phone. Oh, it's seriously just a misty rain. Like this just, I think it's fine. But yeah, so anyways, this is the journey of being a creative and a healer and a spiritual teacher. And I like to add 2 more archetypes to like what I'm cultivating and the people that I love to work with as well. People that are also badass businesswomen and goddess gangsters. And what I mean by that is these archetypes are what I'm wanting to cultivate more in my life, to be more in my power, even just to be a leader of this creative movement of this album. I know I have to be a leader. I know I have to be a badass businesswoman, and not in the sense of being bad, but being like courageous and rebellious and willing to take risks to create what I want to create. And part of that is not only my personal healing and empowerment and the creative stuff I want to bring into this world, but also the change I want to initiate culturally. Like that's another reason why I am super inspired about working with creatives, like whether that's musicians, artists. But I mean, so many of us are so multidimensionally creative at this time because we have so much support to do that with our technology and everything, that it's almost not even necessary to define it. But obviously, music is something that I have a lot of experience in and expertise in and love to help people with, especially vocal liberation and finding one's authentic truth and pouring it into songs. Like I'm really, really great at that. And likewise, I'm expanding my ability to make music videos and do cool performances and create visuals, because I'm also a visual artist. I've come out of the closet with that more recently and have been posting more of my art online, and I actually applied for it to be shown at a gallery locally. We'll see how it goes, but sometimes it's just worth it just to kind of just take that step and just try and go for it. But yeah, why I love working as a creative and also supporting creatives is because our creativity has the potential to impact the culture in such a powerful way. Like in the fall, I was working at a youth center here on the Sunshine Coast in BC, and it was mostly like teen boys. Like there were some girls, but it was mostly teen boys, and a lot of them were just going through their challenging, fun and interesting but challenging experiences of being a teen and trying to find out who they are and be tough in kind of like a intense social experience, and also navigate like drugs and alcohol and sex. And I could just tell intuitively, I could feel them. So I could feel like the kids that were kind of going through a harder experience, and I wanted to be there to support them, but I realized they didn't really, I was just like a mom type, teacher type person to them. So they weren't that interested. It's not like, they wanted to look cool. They wanted to look cool to their other kids, and like, I understood. But the interesting thing that I noticed is that what they really respected, what they really were paying attention to and receiving from was music. And they would try to play like the most gangster music ever, and to try to think they were rebelling against me. And admittedly, they did. There was definitely some super offensive music they were playing that I had to literally ask them to stop playing, because I was like, dude, this is racist and it's sexist, and it's not okay to be playing that at a youth center, because it's gonna, it's just not appropriate. And I hope they could realize too, I also explained, if a little kid of color came in and heard this, I don't think he would feel really good. And they were like, oh, it's the one black kid that is playing it. I was like, doesn't matter. This is a safe space for everybody. And then there was a point where I just kind of gave up trying with them, and I just thought, okay, I'm just going to start playing really awesome music and just do my own thing, but bring in the conscious music. And maybe it has a badass kind of edge. Maybe it sounds kind of gangster. Maybe it's intense and powerful music that they will vibe with. because I don't think they're gonna like the acoustic "I choose love" kind of songs. I mean, maybe they will. Hopefully they will. But yeah, at that time I was actually working on producing a song called "Superhero" from one of my besties, Jared Woods, and it has this really deep, intense vibe to it. And the lyrics are actually amazing. Unfortunately, they didn't get to hear the lyrics, but it's about like becoming a superhero. And I also played a lot of Jared's music there because I knew, I was like, this is like vitamins, this is medicine for them. Like, they might not know it. They might just think, oh, it's a cool vibe and it's a fun, interesting, like, flavor of music. They might not be listening to the lyrics, but it's landing in their consciousness and their subconscious. And so I was like, yay, this is a Trojan horse. And yeah, I just realized that music is probably one of the most powerful ways to influence culture, to influence consciousness, and to bring healing to people, because we need it. Trust me. Like, we need it. I know it. I can feel it. And there's so much that is available when we are open up to it. But even if we're not open yet, it's so helpful to have music that's enlightening us and healing us out there. And I do feel that, like, it's important that we keep creating, because the leading edge is ever evolving. Like, just like I feel like as much as ancient texts from, thousands and thousands of years ago can have valuable spiritual information, they also don't understand what it's like to be in a social media world, or to be in a Me Too era, or, all these things that are like different and unique to this time, because we're entering this whole different experience and it's moving so fast. And that's why I think it's so important that so many of us amazing souls, some say that those of us who have signed up for life on earth at this time many of us are just like legendary. Like, the quality of our souls and who we are, what we've done and what we've been through is like awesome and badass and kind of a big deal. Like many leather-bound books, you know what I'm saying? That was an Anchorman reference. And yeah, so it's important that we take advantage of this time and show up and like share, because we have so much to offer and there are so many that can benefit from this. And I love encouraging when I meet people that I'm like, holy shit, you have amazing consciousness, or like, wow, like you have so much healing energy. Like when you sing, it just helped me feel so much better just through the energy. Like, I love reflecting that to people, because often we don't know. We just think, oh, this is just normal, and I just have this weird way of seeing things or sharing my heart, and oh, you like this? And so it's nice to receive reflections and encouragement, empowerment of our gifts, so that we can then feel fueled and supported to like keep going and amplify it and keep resonating it into the field and the collective. And so back to the topic of getting out of the way for creative play, because I've also been reflecting on the fact that, okay, I'm gonna wipe off my phone again. This is not good phone etiquette. I'm sorry, iPhone. I hope you're okay. It's literally just the tiniest little drops, but I know that technology and water are not usually a great mix. But yeah, so personally, I just want to hold space for the dark. For me, I find that the soil of my life and things that challenge me and trigger me have actually been such gifts in a way, even though it's like fucked up to say that, but it's important to be able to hold the light and the dark at the same time, to not deny the dark, the challenges that we've been through, the depth of our human experiences and who we are, what's been laced through even our lineages, our ancestry, and perhaps even our soul journeys. Like, we have so much rich depth that when it is expressed authentically, because often I find that that's like the key, is all I got to do is just express myself authentically, to just share and resonate what feels true to me. The medicine just naturally pours out. In a way, that is the medicine. And I love that. Like, I love that the truth is just this beautiful power that, like, I don't have to force it. I don't have to like think about it or plan it. Like, it's just there. It's just gonna flow. And that being said, I am working on plans, but my intention is just to like flow what feels authentic. And Like for me with creative direction, one of the greatest things about it is I just get to go and dive into my songs and just enjoy them and just feel them and just be with them, be in those unique worlds that each one is. And then I get to just like feel and think and allow whatever just comes up naturally. And honestly, it's better if I don't think and just kind of open up my mind. Sometimes it's even good to distract myself, like just do dishes or something where I'm not focusing on trying to get an idea, but instead I'm just kind of just letting my mind just be loose, meditative, if you will. And it's amazing just like how it just flows. Like I can trust something greater than me is going to take over and is going to flow through with us for me in alignment with the highest good of all, for you, for all. And it's fun. But yeah, I definitely am on a journey of like having to sometimes ninja through vibes in my life. And lately I'm learning to just continue to trust the flow. Like I would have loved to start my production, at half an hour ago, but whatever, it's just the flow. And I got the opportunity to like refresh my energy and my consciousness by creating a podcast and walking in the rain and connecting with the beautiful, magical nature vibes out here. And yeah, I just gotta say, like, I love BC. If any of you haven't been out here, I highly recommend it. Like, it's so beautiful. The nature is so powerful. And on the Sunshine Coast specifically as well, it's very magical. Like, there are some really epic pockets of nature, and there's the most amazing trails everywhere, like gorgeous waterfalls, awesome little fairy nooks, like just everywhere. It's like so beautiful and lush. I love it. And the ocean is so powerful, and it's so wonderful. I'm so grateful to be here. And that too really clears my energy and enriches my soul experience to be able to create. And that's one of the reasons too why I love that I'm offering ceremony retreat type experiences. I mean, it's still kind of in development because I'm still refining what I want to do, what I want to authentically do, like what feels most true and good and right, while also what will serve whoever I'm here to work with best. Because for one person it might be a week-long songwriting retreat, for one person it might be a weekend ceremony experience, for one person it might be a long-term coaching situation with a ceremony or two within. It's kind of just like based on whatever will ultimately serve the person best and help them fulfill their greatest potential. But I love the opportunity to bring people out here to come and recharge and release and rejuvenate in this amazing energy. But yeah, getting out of my own way for creative play. It's interesting because like as a spiritual person, there's a lot of knowledge out there about ego and spirituality, and I find it's, as an artist, especially as a performing artist, I'm in the space of, just like the dark and light, having to really hold both. Like, not having, but being blessed with the opportunity to navigate holding both. Where, yeah, on some level, I have to be completely transparent and just let spirit move through and be humble. And on the other hand, I also get to look nice, and I get to like dress up, and I get to consider how I look and how this looks, and create a style through my music and my creativity. And I love that. I love the both and and yeah. But I'm curious for you, like what would help you to get out of your own way, to allow the creative play? And I feel like you know what's right for you. It might be meditation. It might be just a little bit more encouragement of yourself to just get up to the canvas, or to go play with the music, believe in yourself, like trust that creative pulse moving through you. It might be to go and get on stage. It might be to say something that's hard to say, a difficult truth, but that will ultimately completely liberate you. It might be to dance when you're scared to dance. ultimately it's getting away, or sorry, it's moving through the fear. And I heard a really great quote by Miss LX, who is one of my favorite female dominatrix spiritual teachers, honestly. She's on YouTube. If you look up Miss LELLEX, I've been loving her videos for a long time, but lately they're ascending to this like new level of like, I can just tell it's going to help so many more people. Like, it's not just for people who want to do kinky stuff, but it's also like female sexual empowerment and better harmony between lovers and kinksters, and it's beautiful. But one of the things she said today on a live stream, or last night, she said, what did she say? It was about the relationship between fear and power. Oh, she's like, I forget exactly what it was. I wrote it in my journal, but basically it was something along the lines of, you can't be fearful and powerful. Wait, was that it? Well, basically she was saying that, like, because, like, I mean, interestingly enough, in the Myths of Avalon, one of the greatest quotes I love is, where there is fear, there is power. And Miss LX said something about, along the lines of, I'm definitely paraphrasing, but something about how, like, you can't be fearful and powerful at the same time, at least in a dom context, because the truth is the fear is often there, and usually it's a good measure of, like, that there's something really powerful there, like. But, like, for me, I can't deny that the fear is there, and especially as someone who gets triggered and gets anxiety, like, is very sensitive, I can't deny the fear. I'm not going to be like, no, I'm powerful, like, I can't fake it. And I'm just thinking in this moment, feeling into it and, like, wondering, what if it's about both? And what if it's about, I can be fearful and I can be powerful at the same time? But definitely I feel like what she's kind of suggesting is, it almost reminds me a bit of, like, being a bit more in one's ego, because to be in that level of domination that the world that she's used to, especially in the sexual realm, like, that's a totally new aspect for me that I'm cultivating and super interested in and constantly learning about, just because I'm fascinated. But for me, it really comes down to, like, emotional expression. And doing it in, like, safe ways, in, like, consensual ways, in compassionate, benevolent ways. But yeah, I love that. Like, she was just, like, sharing that transmission. And I'm blanking out a little bit. I don't know why. I think that, like, talking about being powerful in sexuality is a little bit scary. So I think I'm just a little bit dissociating, but also I'm walking through I'm on a dark, shadowy path. But it's also illuminated by, like, beautiful homes and fairy lights in their gardens, and I love. So that was interesting. My phone died. This is now several days later in the morning, in the light of day, and I've had some time to reflect on this podcast, listen to it again, and realize there's a lot of value, a lot of golden jewels there for anyone who can receive and desires to connect with me in this way. Thank you, I'm honored. But yeah, I feel like just continuing this thought, because it's gotten deeper as I've continued to walk through my life and reflect. And yeah, I ended up going down this dark path, and then my phone died. And it's interesting because it was a very similar dark path that actually inspired my song I Choose Love many, many years ago. I was at a center called the Living Center, and it's in London, Ontario, and I was doing a spiritual gardening apprenticeship, but part of that was I lived in a cabin out in the forest, and I remember there was a phase of that where I didn't have a flashlight yet, so I just challenged myself to get used to walking through the night. And sometimes on the new moon nights, it would be literally just walking into pure black. And at first it was so scary, because it's interesting how, like, the mind will create these fear fantasies in a way, or like fear, I'll suddenly be like, oh my God, what if there's aliens? Or I'd have these other irrational thoughts like, what if there's, like, a dark witch that's going to come get me? And all these silly, or, you know, obviously the more realistic ones of, like, there could be a wild animal that's going to attack me. Oh my God. And all these fears came up, and I knew in that moment, I was like, well, I gotta walk to my cabin anyways, so either I can walk in fear or I can walk in love. And so I started to sing, because for me, I know singing brings me into my heart, and it helps me get out of my head and my mind and my fears. And so I started to sing, and then I started to sing, I choose love, here now, here now. I remember what I am made of. And that's where that song was born. It got also enhanced on the journey of also exploring psychedelics and plant medicines, because often there are moments when exploring one's own psyche or the world beyond one's status quo, fear can come up. And partly it's because the ego's trying to protect us, but a lot of it is just really unnecessary and disempowering. And now I realize a deeper truth about the quote from Miss LX. And I feel like, for me, my truth is that love is more powerful than fear. And fear is super fucking powerful. Like, let's not deny it is super powerful. But love is more powerful. And in the moments when we're scared and we feel called to rise up and do something, but we're scared, that is a moment to initiate into greater love, greater power, greater creative expression, greater happiness, greater fulfillment, greater satisfaction. And especially when it's coming from a really authentic place that's still loving the fear and being like, it's okay to feel that, and, you know, titrate, take a break if you need to, take care of yourself however you need to, but ultimately it's an opportunity to step forward into a whole new sense of self and way of being and level of power. We have the opportunity to choose love. And just to come back to the topic of the podcast, which was getting out of my own way, our own way for creative play, what if we can choose love? Love for our purpose, love for everything we've been through and the medicine that we've now alchemized, love for ourselves and everything we've been through, love for this world, this life, all our relations, love for everyone who can be positively touched by our creations. And even though, yeah, it's scary, and even on the path of sexual empowerment, like, I know I still have fears come up, but I choose love. I choose to let my love for sacred sexuality and my love for amazing relationships and harmony in my community and deep, powerful, awesome, interesting connections, I choose to make that more powerful than my fear. And yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done, because sometimes the body will just automatically click into some sort of like freeze state, or what is it in fight, flight, or freeze? There's also fawn. There's so many ways that we, like, not just our ego or whatever, but also literally our whole bodies, the wildness of the animals that we are, sometimes have automatic reactions that are hard to bypass. But part of it, I find, is just loving ourselves, having compassion. And it reminds me of a few years ago, I remember I experienced what I felt was like a visitation of blue light beings. Now this might be way out there for people, but whatever. And it's interesting because, like, I used to have these really bad nightmares of like aliens, and then I would get sleep paralysis. And it was just like a representation of this fear that I had on some deep level. And I remember when this one time when these blue light beings came to me, it could have been a dream. I'm not sure. It was the middle of the night. So let's just say it could be a dream, just to kind of open up to it a bit. But they said, I felt from them, we're here to help you. And I was there like frozen in fear. I was like, what the fuck? And then they sent me this wave of love, like so much love. And then my body just melted and my soul suddenly felt at peace. And then I was just like, oh, why didn't you do that before? Because then I could actually like connect with them a bit more. And I don't remember much else from that. It was 2012, or it was a long time ago around then. But it does make me think about the power of love. And again, that's why it's so important to keep loving and loving through our creations and sharing our love with this world. And likewise, this is a reason why when I do work with people in psychedelics, I love having the option of MDMA, because it is an infusion when dosed correctly and respectfully for the medicine and the people and all all involved, it can be such a beautiful antidote to the fear, and can help people open up even more to who they are and what they really feel, and then spirit as well, because often so many of us are scared of going crazy, or we're scared of seeing something we don't want to, we're not. But ultimately, I always pray that we only receive what's for our highest good, and I also pray that God doesn't give us anything we can't handle. So there's no fear of like, what if this is too much? But because I do trust prayer and I do trust God. But yeah, that element of the medicine really helps with just being able to like know that we can love through it. Like no matter what comes up, we can love through it. And I'm going to finish this podcast with a song that one of my besties, Jared Woods, and I used to sing on our travels when we were often also doing psychedelic journeys and just kind of entering the medicine space and the music space together. And the song was, "Can we love through this? Can we love through this?" And I truly feel that love is the greatest medicine, and especially during this time. And as well, even though that MDMA is a beautiful, amazing medicine and substance, to me, I knew this is just giving me a shortcut of what's possible naturally. And I'm on the journey of just continuing to love and do my spiritual work, my healing work, so that I can keep loving and keep being present and showing up as much as I can to this beautiful world in my full power and beauty and glory and grace, as I wish for you too. So I feel like this is a really good way to end the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to learn more about my music or work or anything, check out coraflora.com, and you can see all the offerings that I'm presently sharing. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you feel called, and if you feel a little bit nervous, that's okay. But I will say that if the love in you is calling you to do something, and perhaps to shatter through fear and reach whole new levels of creativity, authenticity, beauty, love, bliss, and power, reach out, because I would love to support you and be on that journey with you. Wishing you a magical day. Aloha.